So now we come to Daniel chapter 3. We're supposed to have a makan today, but tak jadi because the COVID numbers went back up so drastically. I hope that everyone remains safe during this new wave of Omicron infections. So let's go to God in prayer. Father, we thank you that we have this opportunity to come before your word and to have fellowship with one another and to chat with one another, catch up with one another. Although our plans have been scuttled, but your plan remains forever. You will surely gain glory through the big things and the small things in our lives. So we glorify you. We open our hearts this evening to your word. So Lord, speak to us. I pray, Lord, that you guide us, be with us, and also those who are not with us this evening, keep them safe and keep them safe and sound as well. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay, so Daniel chapter 3, the national idol. The national idol. King Nebuchadnezzar, not too sure when exactly in his reign this happened, but I'll suppose shortly after Daniel chapter 2. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits and its breadth 6 cubits. Now that is ridiculously large, huge, 20 something, 30 meters, 60 cubits. That's a lot. That's rather big. Was it possible to build such a big statue? Possibly. Another way that people might want to talk about it is maybe he built it on a hill that was 60 cubits high, and then he built it on top of that. But the whole point is that he's making something grotesque from the hearing of a Jewish listener. This is typically what Gentile kings do, making an image. But it's hard to. But the text itself doesn't say it's an image of who, but there is some indication what that is. It was an image of gold, and he set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Gold. Well, in the previous chapter, this was the dream's interpretation. Now we will tell the king its interpretation. You, O king, the king of kings, to whom the God of heaven has given the kingdom, the power, the might, the glory, and to whose hand is given wherever they dwell, the children of man, the beasts of the field, and the birds of the heavens, making you rule over them all. You are the head of gold. So the rest of the body of that dream made of different material, but the head is made of gold. And Daniel said, you are the head of gold. And here, purposefully I suppose, at least narrative wise, King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold. So I think we can conclude that this was an image of himself and the empire that he rules, whose height was 60 cubits and its breadth 6 cubits, larger than life. Clearly this is a show of force, a projection of power on his part. Then King Nebuchadnezzar sent together the satraps, the prefects, and the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. You're going to see this phrase repeated now. Repeating phrases, especially long phrases, is purposeful. Sometimes when we read the Bible, we just read it, but we should hear it. Bear in mind that most people in the ancient world didn't know how to read and write. Nowadays, when we write for people to read. Back in those days, people write for people to hear. So maybe in the whole village, only one person knew how to read and write, and he has to tell the story. So the whole story is written to be heard. So you need to be able to hear this. And it goes like this. Then King Nebuchadnezzar sent together the satraps, the prefects, and the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then the satraps, the prefects, and the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces gathered for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. You get that? That kind of repetition. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Alright? So, this idea of bringing all the big shots, the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, is this projection of power to have this kind of to bring a who's who, right, for a giant Merdeka parade, right, all the YBs, all the Tansi, all lined up, right, from all across the empire for this ceremony, dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. You better know who set this up, whose kingdom you're in, and he wants to show how powerful he is. And so that is the national idol. That's the national idol. It is to proclaim his own personal greatness and the greatness of his empire. And the herald proclaimed aloud, da, 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 you are commanded, O peoples, nations, and languages. Then when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, you are to fall down and worship the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. Therefore, as soon as the peoples heard ready for it, the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, all the peoples, nations, and languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Right? So, corresponding to the governors and satraps and officials, these horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, every kind of music. And what were they to do? They were to fall down and worship the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So it reeks of this grandeur, but at the same time, you can hear the mocking tone. Mocking tone because most people already know the story, right? I mean, it's not unless you're hearing the story for the first time. They're like, wow, horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music. But people who have maybe hearing the story told the second time, knowing how it was going to end, they would just be snickering. Like, wow, what a projection of power. The king is so vain and insecure and needed to do this in order to show how powerful he is. And at the pain of death, whoever does not fall down and worship shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. It's like he is so afraid that people will not bow down, that he has to threaten them with death. There is reason for him to think that people will not do so as commanded. Right? People don't love you that way. Because if people love you that way, then maybe they will be more than willing to bow down to your idol, but to prostrate at your majesty and power at this great statue. But there's a chance in Nebuchadnezzar's mind that somebody may not want may not genuflect. Some may not kowtow to him. Maybe because you subjugated these nations, right? And so maybe these nations, these people hate you. So whoever does not fall down and worship shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. I like this. You could have said, shall immediately be cast into a furnace. Is that hot enough? Into a fiery furnace? Is that hot enough? A burning fiery furnace. Alright, to just show you how serious it is to have these various adjectives added to furnace, right? To just this whole paragraph is just everything is just heightened. Everything is just kuasa 10, right? Kuasa 10 type of statue, kuasa 10 type of bringing. I mean, don't need to work out these people like who's going to govern the vast empire, all the governors, etc. Everybody come to Babylon to do this dedication ceremony and get all these peoples, nations, and languages, and then the horn, the pipe, the lyre, the triangle, the harp, the bagpipe, every kind of music, and then there's this threat, this burning fiery furnace. Okay, because he wants everybody to worship the national idol. This was the procession. So therefore, as soon as all the people heard of the start of the procession music, so all the people's nations, so as the music was playing, then therefore at that time certain Chaldeans came forward and maliciously accused the Jews. They declared to King Nebuchadnezzar, "O king, live forever," right? Daulat Tuanku, you, O king, have made a decree that every man who hears the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, triangle, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into a burning fiery furnace, right? So just repeating the king's words word by word, the narrator's word by word. Alright, that's true. There are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, pay no attention to you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. So who are these people? These people are Chaldeans. They are the Babylonians, right? So imagine, right? Your company that you have been working for 10, 20 years, and then there's a rival company, and then you bought them over, right? You bought your company, right? This hostile takeover of a competitor, and so you are happy, right? Because maybe you were the marketing manager, and your enemy is the marketing manager from the other company, isn't it? Right? You have been at it for the last 10 years, making better marketing material to beat the competition, and then finally you defeated them, right? Your company defeated them and absorbed them, and then lo and behold, your CEO promoted that other marketing manager over you. He becomes a marketing general manager, right? The vice president for marketing. He becomes the vice president for marketing over you. And so you are like, what? I worked here for so long, and I was the one who came up with the marketing strategies that eventually defeated that guy's marketing strategy, and now here we are powerful, we took over, we had a hostile takeover of the company, and now you're promoting those losers, so you're jealous. So these Chaldeans, they're jealous. So they took this opportunity to talk about something else, not about their capabilities, not about their so they were questioning Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's abilities, competencies, because clearly they were competent. If they were not competent, why would your CEO promote that fellow over you, right? So they're competent. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and these are their Babylonian names. So they go another route. They say, "These men, O king, pay no attention to you." Actually, what they did was they didn't bow down, right? But the more crime, because you need to make it more emotive, right? It has to be a bit more emotive. You have to sell it a bit, and so you don't say they didn't bow down to the idol you set up according to the law. This is how we should punish them. O king, they pay no attention to you. You promoted them. They're not loyal to you. I'm the one who have been following you for 10 years now, right? They come from the other company. They do not serve your gods. They don't hold to your motto. They don't subscribe to your vision statement. I was there when we were in the company retreat, when we formed the vision statement, right? They don't know how to sing when they sing the company song, they don't sing it wholeheartedly. I wear the company t-shirt every day, right? They do not serve your gods. We serve your gods. They do not worship the golden image that you have set up. It's you who set it up, and they're not worshipping it. So this was the accusation that the Chaldeans, and they know exactly what kind of accusations to level against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to the king, right? What would make the king take? You know that the king is a vainglorious guy, right? I mean, if you're not a vainglorious guy, why do you set up a 60 cubit statue of yourself of gold and try to get the whole empire unified to worship that image, right? So there is a bit of course, you are Nebuchadnezzar the Great. There's some ego right here, and now these three Jewish men whom you have appointed over the affairs of the province of Babylon, they don't pay attention to you. You have to do something about it. At the very least, whether you believe it or not is a different thing. But you cannot say Belkina, it's okay lah. Everybody have their own free will. You cannot do that, right? You have to do something about it. So that's the accusation. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in furious rage, not just rage, not just furious rage, commanded that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought. So they brought this man before the king. And then Nebuchadnezzar calmed himself down, right? He calms down. Answered and said to them, he wants to be like a wise king. You know, those wise king, calm and magnanimous. And is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I have set up? Now, if you are ready, when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, to fall down and worship the image that I have made, well and good. What does he say? He says that, is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you're not serving my gods, you don't worship the golden image that I have set up? I don't think so. I don't think you're like that. Maybe my instructions weren't clear. Maybe you didn't get the memo. Maybe you didn't understand what you were supposed to do. I give you the benefit of the doubt, right? We're going to start over. Let's consider what just happened 30 minutes ago, a false start. I gave the signal just now, and then the music started playing. The national anthem and all of that started playing, and then the procession started, and then people bow down. You didn't do that. False start. NG, cut, NG. Forget that happened. Let's start over. I'm gonna start the procession all over again because of it. This time, if you fall down and worship the image that I have made, well and good. We forgot that this whole episode ever take place. Alright? So that kind of a king. But if you do not worship, you shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. And when that happens, who is the God? Because you're not going to worship me, you're not worshipping my gods and worshipping my statue. That must be because you are loyal to some other gods. So who is this God who will deliver you out of my hands? Who's the ultimate God here? In Nebuchadnezzar's mind. It's him. I have all the power. No God can save you from my hand. You pray lah, scream louder. No God can deliver you out of my hands. Or the more specific question, and this is important, is who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands? Right? Tell me the identity of the God who will deliver you out of my hands. Hua. So this is I think there's a sign of a great king like that. Punya persona, isn't it? I give you one. I don't want to immediately throw. Supposedly, if you don't bow down and worship, immediately throw you into the burning fiery furnace. Why I give you a second chance? For a few reasons. I give you a second chance is that I want your I want to show if I just throw you into the furnace, right? And then people are gonna say, see, not everyone Sing Fu Ko Fu. Not everyone is willing to bow down to you. And the way you solve the problem is just by throwing them into the burning fiery furnace. The heart is not with you, and at the end you couldn't get them to bow down to your idol, right? You couldn't get them to bow down to the national idol. So in a way you lost, and you lose some face if you just throw them. If you could speak to them and show how magnanimous you are and give them a second chance, and then they bow down, right? Then that's the coup. That's, you achieve your goal. And then people will say, how great is King Nebuchadnezzar? Even these Jews, right, thought it better to bow down to the king. And the king moves on from there. That was his idea. And there's also something about psychologically, I suppose, from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? So when you hear that the king made that kind of a command, you must have been maybe praying and fasting, and then you harden your hearts towards Nebuchadnezzar, and you know that if you don't bow down and worship this statue, you're going to be thrown into the furnace, fiery furnace, and so you're prepared for that, right? You're ready for that. So you like, just kill me, alright? Kill me now. You're doing that. But then the king, suddenly his tone is, I give you a second chance. Think carefully. Think about your families. Think about what is at stake here. Think again. And for you, I'm willing to start the ceremony all over again. Right? It's like when you put in your resignation letter, right? You are very, very upset with the company and you want to resign. You went for interview and then you get a better offer. You come back, you tell your boss, and then your boss said, hey, don't leave lah. I actually have succession planning. You're in my succession planning, plans and strategy, and we have big things going on for you, and this resignation letter, you keep it back, okay? Just forget that this whole thing ever happened, and then they want to pay your salary, we can match that, we can give you more. Huh? So at first maybe you're very hardened, right? Then maybe you will soften a little, right? Maybe you give in a little, maybe you think about it, isn't it? So if you just take a gun, pang, die, martyr them, very easy. But if it drags out a little bit, give you some time to think, then maybe you may, as the adrenaline comes down, right? Serves you a cup of tea, right? A cup of da hong pao, like that, right? And you like, okay, half or a bit more. Then you think rationally what you're doing here. Who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands? This is the final offer. Very clever. Very, he's a great politician. He's a great politician, Nebuchadnezzar. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If this be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. Now, unfortunately, the most important verse, right, the heart of the passage is a bit ambiguous what it means. Here, if this be so, that is roughly what the Aramaic is. If yes, or if to be. If to be. What does if to be means? If this to be. Well, so the ESV, King James Version, and then explain that go, if to be, if this to be, if this be so, Our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. If this be so means what? If this be so, the NLT and the NIV makes it clear. If we are thrown into blazing fire, blazing furnace, if there's no, okay, fine, right? If you throw us, if this has to be so, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and He will deliver us from your Majesty's hand. So if this be so, refers to the king's action of throwing them into the fiery furnace, then God is able to save them. The Good News Bible, the Jewish Publication Society, NRSV, NIV disagree. They say if the God whom we serve is able, so if be so, that means if God able be so. If He's able to save us from the blazing furnace and from your power, then He will. Well, this is a bit different. The first one, it has a lot of faith in it. The first one is that, you throw us into the fiery furnace, God will save us. He will deliver us. It's not a question of God's ability to save us, but that it's a question of whether you throw us into the fiery furnace or not. If you do, then God will save us. Not will, right? He's able to save us and He will save us. In the Good News Bible one, it is, if the God whom we serve is able to save us. So is there a bit of a lack of faith right here? Maybe it's they're in exile and they could have taken it like Yahweh was defeated by Marduk. So now that King Nebuchadnezzar, under the auspices of Marduk, is basically Marduk incarnate, son of Marduk, that kind of a thing. He now has power over us. Well, I guess if God whom we serve is able to save us from the blazing furnace and from your power, then He will. If He can, He will. If He cannot, then cannot lah. But if He can, He will. That kind of a thing. The NET and HCSB says, if the God we serve exists, so if to be, right? So the Aramaic is if to be. So who be? So the one that goes before it is, who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands? So maybe it is out of your hands. If you throw me into maybe in the NIV, the NLT, ESV, it's about being cast into the burning fiery furnace. The Good News Bible is answering the question, who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands? Can your God can deliver us out of my hands? Then the answer is, well, if He can, He will lah, right? But if the question is, who is the God, as in who will deliver you? Does such a God even exist? Right? Does your God even exist? So the answer is about the existence of God. If the God we serve exists, then He can rescue us from the furnace of blazing fire, and He can rescue us from the power of you, the King. And linguistically, if you translate word for word, then the NET one is more word to word. So the first one is, full of faith, right? The first option, they were so full of faith. If you throw us, God is able to save us and He will save us. Our God is here, but then maybe He's able to save us. Maybe He's not. If He's able to save us, He'll save us. If He's able to save us, He'll save us. And then here is, if our God exists, right? So from an all-powerful God to if God is powerful enough to if our God even exists. So there's then this is the weakest one, right? Then He can rescue us from the furnace of blazing fire. He can rescue us from the power of you, the King. Now, the one that I really, really like, that I think it makes really good sense, both to the readers and also to the context, is this suggestion by John Cook who's a total expert in Aramaic, right? If he doesn't know Aramaic, nobody knows Aramaic. He is the Aramaic guy. 2019, he published this paper and he translated this way. He says, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need concerning this matter to respond to you, whether our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the furnace of burning fire and from your hand. Okay, he may deliver us, but even if not, we will still not bow down, right? So basically, this is basically saying, oh Nebuchadnezzar, the question is, who is this God who will deliver you out of my hand? And the answer is, Nebuchadnezzar, I'm not even interested to answer your question about who is my God, who is our God, whether he's able to deliver us for us. Cantonese say 費事同你講. I don't even want to talk about it with you, right? I'm not here to have a theological debate with you. I'm not here trying to convince you of anything. I just malas nak layan. I think this is the right. I think this will really rile Nebuchadnezzar up. Why are you asking us about whether our God who is this God who is able who will deliver us from your hand? Malas nak layan this question. It's irrelevant to us. We have no need concerning this matter to respond to you whether our God boleh ka, tak boleh ka. Not interested to talk to you about it. Is able to deliver us from the burning fire from your hand. Okay, he may deliver us. Maybe he will. For all we know, maybe he will. Maybe he won't. But if he doesn't, well, okay. Even if not, we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. I think this was the reply. And this one, then Nebuchadnezzar was hot in the collars. I mean, it's like red all over his face and down to his neck, and the Nebuchadnezzar was filled with fury, and the expression of his face was changed. I mean, he was really upset at the start, but then he controlled himself, right? I mean, earlier he was upset. He says, Nebuchadnezzar, in furious rage, commanded that Shadrach, Meshach, bring them here. Was very upset. But then when they show up, he thought about it. I need to score a victory here. I need to score a political victory. I need to make an example of them. So I'm going to calm down, be a great king, and talk to them, right? And parley with them, negotiate with them, and put them in their place. And so he's control. But when the answer is with malas nak layan what you want to say, you want to throw us to furnace fire, you throw lah. Maybe he save us, maybe he don't save us. But all this is irrelevant. Save us, don't save us. Also, we won't bow down to your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. So Nebuchadnezzar was filled with fury. Expression of his face was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times more than it was usually heated. So before that, it was already the burning fiery furnace. That was his plan, right? Anyone who doesn't throw into the burning fiery furnace is already very bad. So now this whole chapter kuasa 10, I told you already, right? This whole chapter is kuasa 10:1. So he ordered the furnace heated 7 times more than it was usually heated. It is not to kill them, because I mean the normal one would kill them. It is to show people how angry he was. And he ordered some of the mighty men of his army. So some of the crack troops. He ordered some of his crack troops, right? His special forces guys, right? His mighty men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their cloaks, their tunics, their hats, and their other garments. This chapter, the author really likes to use this. Keep on compounding things. So it will be like the governors, the satraps, the leaders, and all of it. He likes to enumerate things, and the various musical instruments, name them one by one. And here, from just name one by one the kind of things they were wearing. They were wearing their cloaks, their tunics, their hats, and their other garments to just show how combustible they were, right? I mean, they're just wearing everything, cloaks, tunics, hats, garments, just they're so combustible. And they were thrown into the burning fiery furnace. And funnily enough, because the king's order was urgent and the furnace overheated, the flame of the fire killed those men who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell bound into the burning fiery furnace. So the contrast between the soldiers and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego couldn't be more stark, the contrast between them. On the one side, we have mighty men of his army, dressed for war and big and well-trained and stuff. And they approach it, only the flame of the fire killed them. Whereas we have Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're like scholars type, you know what I mean? So they're not like the working out type, right? They're not the workout types, right? They are the wise men type. They are the scholars type, you know, the studious type, the nerds. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they were in their cloaks, their tunics, their hats, their other garments, and they were thrown in there. But it is the mighty men who died. So then it's hot. This whole verse 19 to verse 23 has just all this language of it's hot. Not only was the fiery furnace hot, Nebuchadnezzar was also hot with anger. His temper, his emotions is matched by the fire, isn't it? It's just all consuming. Then Nebuchadnezzar was astonished and rose up in haste. He declared to his counselors, "Did we not cast 3 men bound into the fire?" They answered and said to the king, "True, O king." I mean, we're going to say, what kind of stupid question is that? Didn't we throw 3 guys bound in fire? And this time is the wrong time to contradict the king in anything, right? It's the wrong time. You have never seen him this angry in his life. Yeah, it's just the wrong time to contradict the king. So, true, O king. What are you saying? Of course, we threw 3 guys into the fire. He answered and said, "But I see 4 men unbound, walking in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt. And the appearance of the 4th is like a son of the gods." Alright, I'm going to contradict that one too now. Yeah, I'm not going to contradict. You're going to, yes, okay. Alright. Now, why I say this is that, was there really a 4th person? Could the other see that? Could the counselors see that there's a 4th person? We don't know. I don't think actually they did. This vision of the 4th person was specifically tailor-made for King Nebuchadnezzar and King Nebuchadnezzar alone. Because imagine if you throw 3 guys into the furnace and then there are 4 of them and they're just walking around, everybody would be astonished and rose up in haste. But here, only King Nebuchadnezzar was mentioned to have been astonished and rose up in haste. Then he has to ask his counselors, "Hey, didn't we throw 3 guys into the fire?" They'll be, "Yeah lah, we threw 3 guys, why got 4 guys?" They didn't say that, right? You said, "True, okay, yeah, where are you going with this? We threw 3 guys into the burning fire." He answered and said, "But I see. Do you all not see? I see 4 men unbound, walking in the midst of the fire. They are not hurt. The appearance of the 4th is like a son of the gods." Now, it turns out that God saved Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Did they know that? Did Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego know that God would save them? No. They said, don't know whether God will save us or not. That is not relevant. Because this question was, who is this God who will save you? Aren't you afraid of your lives? You're expecting a God to come to save you? And the answer is, that's not relevant, whether God saves us or not. It's not important. We are just not bowing down to the idol that you make. So in their mind, maybe they would survive this. Most likely they're gonna die, right? That's the right way to think. God is so they didn't go into persecution thinking that God would save them. If they die, they die, and that's okay. That's okay. I mean, they die, they go to heaven, right? That's okay. And from God's perspective, it's okay to let them die. He did shortchange them. He grants them eternal life. They are righteous before Him. They didn't bow down to idols. So if God lets them die, God didn't shortchange them. For me to live is Christ, to die is gain. So if God were to save them, and in this case He did, why did He do that for? Did He do that for them? Did God save Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego because He was showing mercy to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? No. If they die, that is also showing mercy to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because they die, they go to heaven. That's great. Brilliant. Rather, God was showing mercy to Nebuchadnezzar. This was for Nebuchadnezzar to see. God was merciful to the persecutor so that the persecutor could repent. And in this case, God wanted to do that. That is why He saved Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Not because they were faithful. No. God didn't save them because they were faithful. A lot of people say things like that. You know, God will save you if you're faithful. That's not what salvation means. Salvation, we're talking about eternal salvation. We're not talking about temporal salvation. It's irrelevant. They themselves said it's irrelevant. Maybe He'll save us, maybe He doesn't save us, but we remain faithful. But if God were to save us from persecution, it is for the persecutors to see the glory of God. And here King Nebuchadnezzar saw a fourth person to make sure that you know that something divine is going on. Alright? There's no camera tricks, nothing. It's not, there is no rational explanation. You just need to know that this was a divine act so that you know what's going on. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the door of the burning fiery furnace, I suppose after they put out the fire a little bit. He declared, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out and come here. Oh. Nebuchadnezzar knew what he was dealing with, or rather who he was dealing with. He's dealing with the servants of the Most High God. I already talked about what the Most High God means. There are many gods, and there's one that is the Most High. And obviously, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are servants of the Most High God in Nebuchadnezzar's estimation, because there is no God that is conceivable to Nebuchadnezzar that is stronger than Nebuchadnezzar. In Nebuchadnezzar's mind, all gods bow down to him. Who is this God who's going to save you? Unless it is the God of gods. Unless it is the Most High God. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out from the fire. And the satraps, the prefects, the governors, and the king's counselors gathered together and saw that the fire had not had any power over the bodies of those men. Very interesting, the way they talk about it is that it's not that God changed their bodies into titanium or something, or whatever it is that will be fireproof. I don't even know if titanium is fireproof, but it's not that they change his body into fireproof material, but that the fire could not do what it normally does. It has no causal power over the bodies of those men. Not just that, the hair of their heads was not singed, their cloaks were not harmed, and no smell of fire had come upon them. There's not even they didn't even break a sweat in there. So Nebuchadnezzar answered, Who is it answering to? Why is this called answered and said? Because he is reacting to what he has just seen. What did he see? And what is the right reaction? The right reaction is, blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel. That's the fourth person, one like son of the gods. I mean, son of the gods, right? That's just angels, and delivered his servants who trusted in him, and set aside the king's command, and yielded up their bodies rather than serve and worship any god except their own God. Therefore, I make a decree: any people, nation, or language that speaks anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be torn from limb, and their houses laid in ruins, for there is no other God who is able to rescue in this way. So the solution is might be worse than the problem. So he's trying to get everyone to now recognize the God of Shadrach and Abednego, but again, on the pain of death, right? That's just how Nebuchadnezzar operates, I guess. A Gentile king, he doesn't know any other way than the language of violence. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. No other God. What are some of the lessons from this story? I can think of a few. Number one, idolatry. Idols are not just piece of wood. Of course, idols are also idols in our hearts. There's hard power, there's soft power, idols. And there are symbols of human power. It's a projection. In this case, Nebuchadnezzar was projecting his power. And ultimately, it is self-worship, self-serving, and self-aggrandization. And I don't know what are the idols in your life, and they have power over you. And those idols want to exert power over your life. And those idols want to make you feel good about yourself as well. Ultimately, it is self-worship, self-aggrandization. Maybe we are all in exile. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were exiled to Babylon, and we too were exiled. We are in the world, we are not of the world. God has sent us into the world. But it is very easy to acclimatize, to naturalize, very easy to forget that we are citizens of the heavenly kingdom. The world is not our home. And the power and influence exerted by it sometimes compel us to our knees to worship these idols that are in our lives, that's in the world, or the national idol, or the community's idol. I mean, Chinese people have only one idol, and that's money, right? Chinese New Year, if it is the New Year according to the Gregorian calendar, we say Happy New Year. The point is to be happy, right? If it is in Malay, Selamat Tahun Baru. The point is Selamat, right? When it's Selamat, that's a good thing. Another one is happy, that's a good thing. But Chinese people, it is 恭喜发财. Congratulations on your prosperity. Now give me some ang pao. Alright, congratulations that you're prosperous, so give me some money. That's that's what Chinese say to one another for their New Year. Money, right? That's the only thing we worship. And it's for self-aggrandization. And it's very easy to fall into that idolatry. And you can get persecuted if you don't do that. Because everyone's comparing, right? The next reunion dinner, they'll be comparing. The next school reunion, everyone will be comparing, right? People may ask you, And you can be ostracized, stigmatized, in this case, even xenophobia on the part of, that's what Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego suffered. They refused to kowtow. And xenophobia, fear of the foreigner. We are foreigners. Foreigners, not just pendatang in the pendatang sense, but foreigners in the world. We're in the world, we're not of the world. And people don't like that. But we remember that we are servants of the Most High God. In those situations, we refuse to kowtow. We are okay with the stigmatization. We are willing to bear it. But also, it is up to God to save. Maybe He will, maybe He won't. If He does, all glory be to God. If He doesn't, all glory be to God. Don't just trust Him when things are going well, or that when He comes through. But when He is silent, when you are suffering for no reason and there's no end to it, and it's unresolved, and in the end you may even die from it, well, that's that. And it's good. But if God shows a miracle in that situation, then God is being gracious to the persecutors, to give the persecutors an opportunity to repent. You are fine already. You live, that's great. You die, that's great. No difference. You are servants of the Most High God. You belong to Him already. Now, if you die, God doesn't save you from it, so there's no miracle. So the persecutors go on none the wiser. Okay, God can do that to them, or God may show grace to them and intervene. So then, what is our response to that kind of persecution? Sometimes it can be a big way, right? Life and death, but sometimes it's some small microaggressions, I suppose. Jesus says, pray for those who persecute you. Don't just pray for your friends. Pray for those who persecute you. Because God causes the sun to rise on the good and the evil. And at the end, to God be the glory. God saves us, to God be the glory. God doesn't save us, to God be the glory. But may God be gracious to the persecutors, those who persecute us. Daniel chapter 3. The national idol. What are some idols that you can identify that is large scale? Why are the idols there? Do you succumb to those idols?